Yo, what's up, guys and girls? What's happening? Today we are studying Daf Chav Zayin of Masech Berachos. Some great stuff today. We will be talking about the famous machlokes of ad ve'ad bichlal or ad velo ad bichlal. Super interesting. We will also be talking about another famous thing called de'avad kamar avad u'de'avad kamar avad. We will learn about what that is. We will learn about making early Shabbos today and how to make early Shabbos. Lots of really interesting stuff on the agenda today, which is exciting. So let's get started over here. We're going to start in Daf Chavav Amud Beis, 4 lines from the bottom. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Zokt Rabbi Yehuda, Ad Arba Shos. So you can read Kriyas Shema, no, not Kriyas Shema. You can daven Shacharis until 4 hours into the day. So again, on our perfect day, beginning at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. and ending at 6 p.m., you can pray until 10 a.m. Ibaylu, they ask the kasha. Ad ve'ad bichlal o dilma ad velo ad bichlal. Okay, what does this mean? So Rabbi Yehuda says you can pray shacharis ad arba sha'os, until 4 hours. So when it says ad is the until included in the time that you're allowed to pray, or is it up until that time, i.e. it's excluded, right? So when he says ad arba sha'os, until 4 hours, is that until and including 4 hours? So until 10 a.m. on our perfect day? Or is it ad velo ad bichlal, or it's until the 4th hour, but the 4th hour is excluded, is not included, up until the 4th hour, but not including the 4th hour. So in our perfect day that starts at 6 a.m., the first hour being from 6 to 7, then 7 to 8, then 8 to 9, so from 9 to 10 is hour number 4. So if it's ad velo ad bichlal, that means that you have until 9 o'clock, and that's it. And then if you say ad ve'ad bichlal, so that means that you have the 4th hour from 9 to 10 included in when you're allowed to daven, so you can really daven until 10 o'clock. So that's the question. Tashma, come in here. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, ad plaga mincha. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda says that you're allowed to daven mincha until plag hamincha. Now remember, we said that plag hamincha is if you take from when they would offer the afternoon offering, the Tamid Shel Bein Arbaim, which was at 9.5 hours into the day, or in our perfect day at 3:30 p.m. So from then until the end of the day, which in our perfect day is 6 p.m., so those 2.5 hours, if you then cut that in half into 2 1 hour and 15-minute segments, so each one of those halves, then you have 2 halves basically. So we said Plaga Mincha is that second half, okay? From 4:45 until 6 p.m. on our perfect day. So now, so Rabbi Yehuda says that you can daven mincha ad plaga mincha, until that segment from 4:45 to 6 o'clock, okay? Now, iyamred bishlama ad velo ad bichlal, so it makes sense if we say that when we say ad, it's up to until, but not including, right? So hainu deika bein Rabbi Yehuda l'Rabbanan. I get it. Rabbi Yehuda says you can daven mincha until plaga mincha, i.e. until 4:45, and that's it, not including that segment until 6, okay? And then the Rabbanan said that you could daven Ada Erev until 6, okay? So there's a difference. So if you just says till 4:45, the Rabbanan say till 6. Ela iyamart ad ve'ad bichlal, but if you say that, no, ad until means until and including, well then, Rabbi Yehuda says you could daven mincha ad plaga mincha, until plaga mincha being from that segment from 4:45 till 6, and if we're saying it's up to and including, that means that he's essentially saying you could say pray mincha until 6 p.m. Well then, Rabbi Yehuda hainu Rabbanan. Well then, Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan are saying the same exact thing, i.e., you could pray mincha until 6 p.m. So elamai ad velo ad bichlal. So it must be that it means up to and not including, right? So Rabbi Yehuda says that you could pray mincha until 4:45, right, up till plaga mincha, but not including plaga mincha. And when he says that you could pray shacharis until the 4th hour, it means until 9 a.m., but not including that hour, which would bring you till 10 a.m., not excluding that. You can daven shacharis until 9 a.m. in our perfect day, or until the beginning of the 4th hour of the day. Ema Seifa, but 1 second. But let me quote to you the end of our Mishnah from yesterday. What was that Mishnah? Rabbi Yehuda, V'shal Musaf kol hayom, that you could daven Musaf all day long. Rabbi Yehuda Omer ad sheva shos. Now Rabbi Yehuda says you can daven Musaf until 7 hours. Now, if we're saying that Rabbi Yehuda, when he says until, it means until and excluding, okay? So let's just take a look at our hours for a second. So hour 1 is from 6 to 7, then from 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, and hour number 7 begins at 12 p.m. and goes until 1 p.m., okay? That would be on our perfect day, of course, right? So just from now on, when I say these hours, it's assuming our perfect day, okay? These are not actual days. Today, today, well, it depends if we go by sunrise, but it was actually around 6 a.m. But anyways, so just assume the perfect day, but that's not an actual, time of days. Every day is going to be different in Shazmania world. Okay, so if you say ad velo ad bichlal regarding musaf, so that means that you could daven musaf until noon, according to Rabbi Yehuda. But if you say ad ve'ad bichlal, that means Rabbi Yehuda says that you could pray musaf until 1 p.m. Okay, so now, Vitanya, we have a brisa that says, Hayu lefanim shtei tfilos. If he was in a situation where he has an option to, pray 2 prayers, achas shel musaf, achas shel mincha. Right? Either right now he can daven musaf or he can daven mincha right now. Okay? It's no longer shachris is over. Right? The only options are that he can now daven musaf or he can daven mincha. So mispal shel mincha v'achar kach shel musaf. So the suggestion is that he should first daven mincha, and then afterwards he should daven musaf. Shezo tadira v'zo ena tadira, because musaf mincha is tadir. It's constant. It happens every single day. There's mincha, whereas musaf is not every single day. It's Rosh Chodesh, it's holidays, Shabbos, things like that. That's when there's musaf, but there's not musaf every day. So we have a concept of tadir v'she'enu tadir kodim. That when you have something that's constant and something that's not constant, so the one that is constant takes precedence. Okay, so therefore you should daven mincha first. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Rabbi Yehuda has a different perspective, because while he might agree with tadir v'she'enu tadir kodem, here there is an additional factor that he has in the Chacham don't, which is, he says, Mispal shel musaf achar kach shel mincha shezo overis v'zo ena overis. Rabbi Yehuda says, no, you should daven musaf first and then daven mincha, because he says, whereas the Chacham say you could daven musaf all day, he says you can only daven musaf until the 7th hour, okay? Therefore, you're going to be running out of time for musaf, so say that one first. Whereas mincha, you can say until plaga mincha, which in our perfect day is 4:45 p.m., right? Now, the question is, when can you daven musaf until, right? So, so I understand if you say it means up to and including. So the 7th hour being from 12 noon until 1 p.m. So if you say that is included, it means that you could daven musaf until 1 p.m., okay? So then, then I understand the situation, right? You can daven musaf until 1 p.m. You can daven mincha until plaga mincha, which is either 4:45 or 6, depending on if you say ad v'ad b'chlal, ad v'lo ad b'chlal. So Rabbi Yehuda says that you should daven musaf first, because that one's going to run out first. The time frame is going to expire first, so daven musaf first. But if you say that ad means until, but excluding, well, the 7th hour is from noon until 1. So if you say it's excluding that hour, that means that you can only daven musaf until noon. Well, then how are you ever going to have a situation where you're deciding, should I daven mincha first or musaf first? Mincha, as we said yesterday, only begins, mincha gedola is at 12:30 p.m. And if you have to finish musaf already by 12, well, then they're never going to overlap. This is an impossible situation where you're going to be deciding between musaf and mincha. Musaf is going to be done before mincha even starts. How are you going to ever have, right, musaf and mincha at the same time? Given the asila shal mincha, once already mincha arrives at 12:30, azlala shal musafin. Musaf is already over at noon, so you're never going to have them overlap. Elamai ad ve'ad bichlal. So rather, what must it be is that no, when Rabbi Yehuda says ad sheva shos and ad plaga mincha and ad arba shos, it means ad ve'ad bichlal, which means that you could daven mincha musaf, until 1 in the afternoon. And that is why, and mincha starts at 12:30, so you have that overlap. And Rabbi Yehuda says, well, since you only have a half an hour to daven musaf right now, so you better chaparain and daven musaf, and afterwards daven mincha, which you have until plaga mincha. But we have to figure out how that works out, because if he says, we're assuming that if he says ad v'ad b'chlal, well then he's saying the same thing as the Rabbanan, so we have to figure that out, right? So kasha resha, right? What do you do with the resha that we just said, that if he says ad v'ad b'chlal, like we're now arguing, well then he's saying that you can daven mincha until evening, which is the same exact thing as the chachamim. Right? So my ika bein Rabbi Yehuda l'Rabbanan. What's the difference between Rabbi Yehuda and the Rabbanan? They both say you can daven mincha until 6 o'clock. So misavar tahai plag mincha plag achrona ka'amar. So the Gemara says, well, we've been making an incorrect assumption. We've been assuming that, right, plaga mincha, there are two halves over here, right? Meaning, right, plaga mincha is that you take the time from 3:30 p.m. until 6 p.m., right? You divide that in half, and now you have two halves. You have the first half and the second half. We've been assuming that plaga mincha refers to the second half. Plaga mincha, taka refers to the first half, okay? And then, so what we're saying in the first half being from 3:30 p.m. till 4:45 p.m. on our perfect day, okay? Or from 9.5 hours in the day until 10 hours and 45 minutes into the day, okay? So, and that is what we're talking about. So when Rabbi Yehuda says ad plaga mincha, it means until that first half from 3:30 to 4:45, and it's up until and including that first half. And actually what he's saying is you could daven mincha until 4:45. Awesome. And now so basically we proved that Rabbi Yehuda says ad ve'ad bichlal, and you could daven musaf until 1 p.m., you could daven mincha until 4:45 p.m., and mistama you can then daven shacharis until 10 a.m. Fine, Tizel, right? So misavar tahai plag mincha plag achrona ka'amar, plag rishona ka'amar. We're talking about that first half from 3:30 until 4:45. Ve'achi ka'amar. And this is what the brisa, which brisa? The brisa on Chavav Amud Beis, right? When we quoted this brisa that said, Ditani Rabbi Yehuda Omer plag mincha achrona amru, that they meant plag mincha achrona, the second plag mincha. I thought we just said it's the first plag mincha, right? By the way, I'm reading about 8 lines from the bottom of Chavav Amud Beis. So amru, right? Yud alav shos chasar via. And that is 10 hours and 45 minutes. So this is how you have to read that when it says plag achrona. So the Gemara says, right, v'achi kama, this is what it's saying. Emas nafik plag rishona va'ayil plag achrona. When does the first half end and the second half begin? So mechinafke yud alav shos chasar via, it's from 10 hours and 45 minutes into the day. But regarding ad ve'ad bichlal versus ad ve'lo ad bichlal, Rabbi Yehuda's perspective is ad ve'ad bichlal. Awesome. Great. Let's go weiter. Now, Amar Rav Nachman, Zakt Rav Nachman, Af Ananami Tanina, and we actually have a Mishnah to support this premise that you can daven mincha shacharis until 10 a.m., i.e. ad ve'ad bichlal. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava, Heid Chamisha Dvarim. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava testified 5 things in Masechta Edios, and we're going to learn tomorrow about Masechta Edios. What exactly is it? It's super interesting story between Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Yoshua, which we will get to tomorrow. And on the day that we're going to discuss, this day that we're talking about in tomorrow's story, is when they taught all of this Masechta Edios. And in that Masechta, it's a Masechta Mishnayos. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava testified the following 5 things. Shemima'anin es haketana. Okay. Me'un. What is me'un? All right, people, put on your thinking caps for a few minutes, okay? You located your thinking caps. They're on your head. They're secure. Good. Now I need to put on mine. What is me'un? Me'un is the following thing. You have 2 sisters, okay? They're married to 2 brothers, okay? Now, these 2 sisters, what's unique about them is that they don't have a father. They are 2, so as far as the Torah is concerned, they are considered orphans, okay? Now, one of the sisters is a Gedola, she's mature, and one of the sisters is a Ketana. She is she's young, she's less than, 12 years old or whatever it is. So now here's the thing. Now, a Ketana is only allowed to be married by her father, right? Because for a woman to get married, she has to have das. She has to, have knowledge and consent and realize that she's getting married. But a Ketana doesn't have that das. So the only way for her to get married would be for her father to marry her off. The Torah gives him that power, as the pasuk says, "As biti nasati li shazeh," I gave my daughter to this man. So the father has that power. He's the only one who has that power, but he's dead. So now the Rabbanan, however, gave the power to the mother or the brother to marry her off, but midir Rabbanan. Okay, cool. And this is exactly what happened. So the older daughter, who is a Gedola, she can get married midir Oraisa. She gets married to one of the brothers. Now, the Ketana gets married to the other brother. Now, that marriage, of course, is only a marriage midir Rabbanan, because midir Oraisa only the father can marry her off, and he's dead. So far, so good. Awesome. Curveball. The older brother, right? Well, the brother who's married to the older sister dies. They don't have any children. So now what happens is that midir Oraisa, the older sister, needs to now marry, right? Do yibum, right? Yibum is where exactly in this case, when a man dies and he doesn't have any children, so his wife, his widow, now marries his brother, and that's the halacha of yibum. Okay, that way it says la'akim zera la'achiv, and that way they'll have a child, and like they'll continue his name or whatever. Fine. So now here's the thing. Midir Oraisa, this brother who's married to the Ketana has what's called a zika. He has like a obligation, let's say, or a connection, midir Oraisa, to this older sister, to do yibum. Now the thing is that, so because this brother who's alive needs to do yibum with the older sister midir Oraisa, his midir Rabbanan marriage to the younger daughter essentially, falls apart. He's no longer allowed to be with this younger sister because midir Oraisa, he has a connection now, like it's almost like he's married to the older sister, and he can't be married to two sisters. So therefore, he's not really considered married to the younger one because it's only midir Rabbanan. So, and they don't need a get or anything like that, because you only need a get when they're married midir Oraisa. So basically what happens is we teach the younger one, right, to say to her midir Rabbanan husband, like, efshi bach, right, I can't stay married to you, I have to leave. That's what's called me'un. She doesn't get a get or anything like that, she just walks out, right? And that way, then, this guy is married to the older sister, the widow, and the younger one basically just walks out, and that is what Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava is testifying about. You guys got that? Good. So Shemamanis Ketana. So the first thing that he testified about is that in this complex situation, we teach the Ketana that she should just walk out because her husband has an obligation to her older sister. If you have a woman who is married, her husband went to travel somewhere on business, whatever it might be, and then he died. So we say that if one witness testified that he in fact died, she can now get remarried, right? She doesn't have to basically become an aguna her entire life where she can't get married because she doesn't have proof that her husband is dead. Okay. And on the fact that there was once a chicken that got stoned. They stoned the chicken for killing a baby. Okay. He also testified that wine, once it's 40 days old, it can be used for libations on the altar in the temple. And here we go, people. You guys ready? And that the Tamid Shel Shachar, right, the morning sacrifice in the temple was offered be'arba shos, in the fourth hour, not until the fourth hour, but during the fourth hour, they could still offer the Tamid Shel Shachar. So we see that when Rabbi Yehuda says 4 hours, it means including the fourth hour up until 10 a.m. Shema Mina ad ve'ad bichlal, Shema Mina. So we see that Rabbi Yehuda holds ad ve'ad bichlal. Shweet. Amar Rav Kahana, Zakta Rav Kahana, Halacha Rabbi Yehuda, Holutnam B'chirta Kavase. So says Rav Kahana, now even though in general we say Yachid Rav Malacha Krav, that when you have a single person arguing against many, so we go like the many. But in this case, we talk a paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, because in Masechta Edios, Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava testified about, right, that they would offer the Tamid Shel Shachar in the fourth hour, like Rabbi Yehuda. So we see that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, because anything in Masechta Edios, Bechirta is Masechta Edios, and anything in Masechta Edios is halacha lemaisa. So and that's how we pass on the maisa, right? Zman tefillah is until 4 hours into the day. Okay, very good. Val Tamid Shel Shachar shekarev bar b'shos, and that the Tamid Shel Shachar is offered in 4 hours. Mantan al-Hadatan Rabbanan. Who is the author of the following brisa? V'chama shemesh v'namas. Okay, the pasuk says in, I believe, Parshas B'Shalach. Let's read the pasuk. It says v'yuktu oso baboker baboker. It was talking about the man, right? That they would collect it every single morning. It says baboker twice, baboker every single morning. Ish kafi ochlo, and then each person, however much he needed to eat. V'chama shemesh v'namas, and then the sun would get hot and the man would melt. Okay, whatever was left over would melt. Okay, fine. Now, the Gemara says, the Tana Rabbanan, right? V'chama shemesh v'namas, the sun would get hot and the man would melt. Be'arba shos, and this would happen in the 4th hour. Okay, it's interesting. So, if we look at the pasuk, it says that they would collect the man in the morning, right? Yuktu also baboker, and then after the morning was over, v'chama shemesh v'namas, the sun would get hot and melt it. Interesting. So that seems like neither perspective, right? Because it sounds like the morning was only until, right, for the first 3 hours, and in the 4th hour it already, morning was over, and the sun would then melt the man. Well, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the morning is for 4 hours, not 3 hours, right? In the 4th hour, it's still the morning. And according to the Chachamim, for the first 6 hours, it's the morning, right? So it says the Gemara, Ata Omer ba'arba shos, o ina ela b'sheish shos. Okay, so the Gemara says, one second, when it says v'chama shemesh, when the sun gets hot, okay, is that talking about it would melt it in the 4th hour of the day, or maybe it would melt the man in the 6th hour of the day? Okay, so kshu omer k'chom hayom arei sheish shos amor. No, when it says when the day gets hot, so then that is talking about 6 hours into the day. Homani mekayim v'chama shemesh v'namas, that the sun will get hot. That is ba'arba shos. That's talking about 4 hours into the day. Now, what does this mean? The sun getting hot, the day getting hot? The point being that the sun, right, when the sun comes out and the sun gets really strong and hot, it might not necessarily be so hot outside, right? Think about right now. I'm in Jerusalem. It's a sunny day, but it's still cold out, right? Meaning it's possible for the sun to, the sun could be shining, but it still might be cool from the night before, even if it's like, a spring day or something like that, right? So v'chama shemesh v'namas means that the sun would get hot, but it wasn't necessarily hot outside in the day yet, right? But by noon, by 6 hours in the day, it's right, kechom hayom, that would be by Avraham Avinu, when it says that God appeared to him, kechom hayom, when the day was hot, that's talking about 6 hours. When the sun is hot, like by the man, when it would melt, that was 4 hours. Okay. But now money. Who is the author of this brisa? Lo Rabbi Yehuda v'lo Rabbanan. It's neither Rabbi Yehuda nor the Rabbanan. I Rabbi Yehuda ad arba shos nami tzafru. If it were Rabbi Yehuda, well, Rabbi Yehuda says that, for the entire first 4 hours of the day, it's morning. And we're saying that it was only morning until the 4th hour. And the 4th hour, then it started melting. V'i Rabbanan ad chatzos nami tzafru. If it's Rabbanan, it's morning until noon. So then certainly, when it started melting in the 4th hour, it was still the morning. And yet we're saying that the morning was over before it started melting. Okay. So Ibai Semer Rabbi Yehuda, Ibai Semer Rabbanan. So we could say actually that this brisa can be explained to be either like Rabbi Yehuda or the Rabbanan. Okay, how? So Ibai Semer Rabbanan. Okay, so let's start by explaining how this brisa could be the Rabbanan. Omar Krab baboker chalkeu l'shnei bikarim. Oh, so the pasuk says baboker. It says that they would collect it baboker. What do we learn from there? That the morning is 6 hours, but split it into 2 bokers. You have the first 3 hours of the morning where they would collect it, and then you would have the rest of the morning, beginning in the 4th hour, where it would melt. And you can even read the pasuk like this: V'yoktu oso baboker. They would collect it in the first half of the morning for the first 3 hours, and and then I guess like baboker v'chama shemesh v'namas, right? And then in the second part of the morning, the sun would melt it. Although there's a few words in between, so I guess you can't read it. That wouldn't read so smoothly. But the point being that they would collect it in the first half of the morning, and in the second half of the morning, it would melt beginning in the 4th hour. Okay. V'bay same Rabbi Yehuda, and you can even say that Rabbi Yehuda, that while Rabbi Yehuda says that the morning is 4 hours, hay boker yisera lahakdim lo sha'achas. But right, that additional baboker is to say that it would start melting 1 hour with 1 hour left in the day, in the 4th hour. Fine. But everyone seems to be agreeing, no matter whether we explain it according to Rabbanan or according to Rabbi Yehuda, everyone seems to be agreeing that in the 4th hour of the day, the man was melting. Okay, fine. Amar Rabbi Acha Bar Yaakov Amar Kra. So Rabbi Acha Bar Yaakov says that the pasuk. I'm sorry. So my mashma, but where is this? How does the pasuk imply that? And this already we've basically explained. But how does the pasuk imply that v'cham hashemesh v'namas implies that it would melt in the 4th hour? So Rabbi Acha Amar Rabbi Acha Bar Yaakov Amar Kra v'cham hashemesh v'namas ezo hi shah shashemesh cham batzel tzonen. What is a time that the sun is hot, yet if there were shady parts, if you're, let's say, under a tree, you would be cool. Haviomer ba'abashos, that is 4 hours into the day, and everyone seems to agree with that. Tfilas mincha ad erev, you could daven mincha until the evening. V'chulei. Amalei Rav Chizda l'Rav Yitzchak. So sagt Rav Chizda to Rav Yitzchak. Hasam Amar Rav Kahana alacha Rav Yehuda ha'olutnam b'fchirta kavase. So we said by Shachris that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, that you could daven, that we daven Shachris for the first 4 hours of the day, not until noon, because in Edios the halacha was paskin like him. Hacha mai. What about regarding mincha? Ishtik v'lo amalei v'lo midi. And Rav Yitzchak was quiet; he didn't respond at all to Rav Chizda. So Rav Chizda next anon. So Rav Chizda said, "All right, well, if Rav Yitzchak is not going to tell me, I guess I'll have to figure it out on my own." Okay. Midrab matzli shel Shabbos be'erev Shabbos mi ba'od yom. Now we're going to start talking about early Shabbos. Rav would make early Shabbos. On Friday afternoon, he would daven Mariv from Shabbos and it was still light outside. So Shema Mina halacha Rabbi Yehuda. So we see that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Oh, very good, because look, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you're davening Mariv when it's dark out, right? According to Rabbi Yehuda, you can only daven until 4:45 p.m., which means it's not going to be, the night until 6 p.m., which means that once you're done davening with mincha by 4:45 p.m., you could already start davening Mariv, which means you're davening Mariv an hour and 15 minutes before the end of the day. Okay, and this is this is how we make early Shabbos, right? You're making early Shabbos, right? In case anybody doesn't know what early Shabbos is, let's say like where I grew up in New Jersey, so in the summer, Shabbos might not start, I don't remember exactly, maybe till like 8 p.m. or something, it's a little bit late for some people. And they might want to, have dinner, might want to start dinner at 8 p.m., right? Not first start going to shul. So you can bring in Shabbos early and you already go to shul and daven Mariv and it's still light outside, okay? And that's because we're relying on Rabbi Yehuda there, okay? That after Plaga Mincha, you could already daven Mariv. We'll talk about this more in a second. Adarabba, but then the Gemara says, wait, that's not so pashit. Rav Huna v'Rabbanan lo avu matzlu ad urta, from the fact that Rav Huna and the rabbis would not bring in Shabbos until the nighttime, right, on our day until after 6 p.m. So Shema Mina ein halacha Rabbi Yehuda, right? So we see that the halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda; it's like the Rabbanan, and that's why Rav Huna and the other rabbis would wait until nighttime to daven Mariv, because it's mincha time until 6 p.m. and only after 6 p.m. you can daven Mariv. So hashta delo itmar. Now here we go. Famous lines to those people who kind of know the Gemara famous lines. So that is you now, friends. That is you. You guys now know the Gemara famous lines, or at least one more of them. So hashta delo itmar yichsa lo kemar v'lo kemar. Now since the halacha seems to be unclear if it's like Rabbi Yehuda, because Rav seemed to be doing like Rabbi Yehuda, or like the Rabbanan. After all, Rav Huna and the other rabbis would do like the Rabbanan. Here we go. Davad kemar avad, udavad kemar avad. If you did it like if you did it like Rabbi Yehuda, good job. If you did it like the Rabbanan, that also works. And for that reason, so you can kind of go either way. You can kind of go either like Rabbi Yehuda and say that you could daven mincha until Plaga Mincha and Mariv after that, or you can go to the Rabbanan and say that you could daven mincha until Shkia and Mariv until nighttime. We define that by Shkia or Tzeis, whatever it is, and Mariv after that. But the thing that you have to be careful about, okay, is that you actually have to choose which one that you're going to go like, right? So there's a famous, kind of situation of the 7 o'clock early Shabbos, right? Now here's the thing, it's nice to have, so there are like some places that like in the summer they'll just have early Shabbos at 7 o'clock, they'll have mincha on Erev Shabbos at 7 o'clock every single Erev Shabbos. Now the thing with that is that Plaga Mincha might be, let's say, at 6 o'clock. So what ends up happening is, and Shabbos doesn't, Shkia is only at 8 o'clock. So what ends up happening is that you daven mincha at 7 o'clock, which is after Plaga Mincha. So you're basically saying that you hold like the Rabbanan, that you can daven Mincha until Shkia, because it's after Plaga Mincha already, so you missed Rabbi Yehuda's Zman. But then what happens is you daven Mariv already, maybe at, 7:30, which is a half an hour before Shkia, and you're relying on Rabbi Yehuda to say that, well, you could already daven Mariv after Plaga Mincha, but you have to kind of choose which one. So if you're going to do, ideally, I'm sure that there are other great poskim who say it's fine, and I'm sure that these places rely on it. But, just looking at the simple Gemara over here, I think ideally what you should really go for is that if you're going to do early Shabbos and you can daven Mariv when it's still light outside, you should really make sure to daven Mincha. You should go on Ma'izmanim, look up what time Plaga Mincha is. You can even do it right now. If you've never looked up Plaga Mincha before, you can see. Just go to ma'izmanim.com, type in your city, and it'll tell you exactly what you'll see there on the list of times. You'll see Plaga Mincha. So you should really daven Mincha before Plaga Mincha, and then you could go to shul and daven Kabbalah Shabbos and Mariv while it's still light outside. Weiter. Rav Ikla Levei Gniva. So Rav visited Gniva. Gniva actually came up in our Gemara a few days ago, right? He was the one who said that by Meraglayim, there's still, you can't daven there if Rishuman is Nikar, right? Anyways, he's somebody it's a personality you don't hear come up too much. So Rav Ikla Levei Gniva. So Rav went to visit Gniva. V'tzali shel Shabbos be'erev Shabbos. And he made early Shabbos, right? He davened Shabbos, davening, we were still Erev Shabbos. And Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba was davening behind Rav. Okay, lachorei de Rav. V'seim Rav, v'lo paski litzlusei, Rabbi Yirmiyah. And Rav finished his Shmona Esrei, and he didn't interrupt Rabbi Yirmiyah's Shmona Esrei. So this also is halacha of davening in shul that you might notice sometimes if you're in shul, and you'll see somebody finish their Shmona Esrei, and they kind of turn around to see if anybody's behind them, and they'll see that the person behind them is still davening, so they'll just stand there and wait for them to finish. So it's based on this, right? So let's go weiter for a minute. So Shema Min Hatzlas. So we learn out three things from this innocuous statement that Rav once made early Shabbos, and Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba was standing behind him and he didn't interrupt him. So Shema Mina Mispal Adam Shel Shabbos Be'erev Shabbos. Okay, so we learned that you can make early Shabbos. Okay, Ushma Mina Mispal Talmid Achorei Rabbo, and we learned that a student can pray behind his teacher, right? Because Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba was a student of Rav. Ushma Mina Asur Laver Keneged HaMispalelin, and we also learned that you are not allowed to pass in front of somebody who's praying. Okay, so right, this is like a thing. If somebody's praying Shemona Esrei, don't walk in front of them. And if you're standing in front of them, don't take your 3 steps back. If there's somebody behind you, wait for them to finish. And when they're finished, you then can take your 3 steps back. Now, the Gemara doesn't say this, but I'm saying this. If you're somebody who's davening behind somebody else, well, remember that you're holding them captive until you finish. So don't daven a half an hour Shemona Esrei when somebody's going to be waiting for you. Okay? Also, by the way, it's always a good thing to look behind you before you start davening Shemona Esrei and either make sure no one's behind you or, profile them and think, is this guy going to hold me captive? What are the chances that this guy is going to do a nice, quick Shemona Esrei? So, just a few good tips, Anyways, Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, this supports Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, also laver keneged mispalelin, you're not allowed to pass in front of people who are praying. Ini, is this really true? Rabbi Ami, Rabbi Asi, chalfe. Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi would, walk in front of each other. Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi chutz la'arba amos hu de chalfe. Oh, Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi, they would walk in front of each other, but it was outside of 4 amos. Oh, so if it's outside of 4 amos, then you're allowed to pass in front of somebody who's praying. Rabbi Yirmiyah hechi avid hachi. How did Rabbi Yirmiyah pray behind his teacher Rav? Ve'amar Rav Yehuda amar Rav le'olam al yispal adam lo keneged Rabbo. Person shouldn't pray next to his Rebbe because he looks like he's making himself look like an equal. V'lo achorei Rabbo, and he shouldn't pray behind his Rebbe. Because that's also, a form of being haughty to stand right, pray right behind your Rebbe. Give him space, I guess. Vitanim, we learn in a brisa. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Zok Rabbi Eliezer Mispal Lachoi Rabbo. Somebody prays behind his Rebbe. Vanos in Shalom L'Rabbo, and somebody just says, Shalom to his. He says, hello to his Rebbe, but doesn't say Shalom Aleichem Alecha Rebbe. He just says Shalom, hi, what's up? V'machzu Shalom L'Rabbo, and somebody who returns a greeting to his Rebbe in a way that doesn't, isn't immediately clear that he's giving him the proper respect. And somebody who argues on the position of his Rebbe. Or somebody who even says something that he didn't hear from his Rebbe. Wow. Because I guess maybe that implies, maybe people will think that he's saying it in his Rebbe's name, but he's really not. And then they'll, be confused about the rabbi's position, I guess. It causes the Shekhinah to remove itself from Israel. Woo. So how did Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba pray behind Rav? So the Gemara answers, Shani Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba the Talmud Chavar Abba. Oh, No, Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba was different because he was a Talmud Chaver. He was a student, but he was also a friend. So that's why it was okay. V'hainu de ka'amar le Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba l'Rav mi badalt. And that is why Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba said to Rav, when Rav made early Shabbos, he said, did you stop doing melacha? Amar le in badilna. And Rav said, yes, I stopped doing melacha. V'lo amar mi badil mar. And Rabbi Yirmiyah bar Abba didn't say, did master stop doing melacha? He just said, mi badil, did you stop doing melacha? But if he was a student, he really should have said, mi badil mar. So we see that he must have been a student who was also a friend, and that's why he prayed behind him. But if he was an actual student, a regular student, he probably wouldn't, he should not have prayed behind him. Fine. Umi badil, 1 second. Did Rav really stop doing melacha on Erev Shabbos when he made early Shabbos? Right? So this is also interesting, right? So if you make early Shabbos, can you still do melacha until it gets dark? You already accepted Shabbos, you already started Shabbos, you already went to shul, can you do melacha? So it sounds like Rav said, no, you can't, right? He said he stopped doing melacha. But Ve'amar Rebbe Oven, but didn't Rabbi Oven say, Pam achas ispal Rebbe shel Shabbos be'erev Shabbos. One time Rebbe made early Shabbos, v'nichnas lemerchatz, then he went to the bathhouse. V'yotza v'shanal an pirkin, and then he came out and he gave us a shir. V'adayin lo chashecha, and it still was light out. So meaning he made an early Shabbos, and then he went to, and the main thing is that he went to the Beis HaMerchatz, and going to the Beis HaMerchatz, you can't go to the bathhouse after Shabbos starts, on Shabbos. So Rabbi says no. When Rabbi went to the bathhouse, it was just to schwitz. It was just to schwitz, and it was before they said that you're not allowed to go into the bathhouse to schwitz on Shabbos. So he wasn't actually doing malacha, right? So once you make early Shabbos, you can't do malacha. Wait, is that really true though? But Abai permitted Rav Dimi bar Levi to smoke baskets. Okay, I don't know why. I don't know much about smoking baskets, but apparently, it sounds like it was a malacha. So we see that Abaye basically said that it's okay we have a story where Abaye permitted somebody else, what was his name? Rav Dimi bar Levi, to do malacha after he made early Shabbos. So the Gemara says, don't bring a proof from Abaye. Hauta usa Abaye. That was a mistake. It was a cloudy day. He thought it was actually really Shabbos, so he accepted Shabbos, and then the clouds opened up, and it was actually sunny out. It was still the daytime. So Abaye says, okay, you made a mistake, you're allowed to do malacha. But in general, if you make early Shabbos, you wouldn't be allowed to do malacha. V'tausa mihadra, but 1 second. So what that he made a mistake? Live with it. Ve'amar Avidan, didn't Avidan say, one time, it was very cloudy, and I guess they didn't have watches necessarily like we have. Everything would be based on, I guess, the position of the sun, or, and there was no sun because it was cloudy, and the Taka thought it was nighttime already. Right? And they thought it was Taka dark. Shabbos is over. And they davened Marv because they thought Shabbos was over. And then the clouds opened up and they realized, wait, it's actually still Shabbos. So they already davened Marv, but they made a mistake. So do they daven Marv again? And he said, look, you already davened, you don't have to do it again. So the point that we're making is that even if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter, you follow what you did. And over here with Rav Dimi bar Levi, he accepted Shabbos early, right? So he should live with it, and therefore if Abai was allowing him to do malacha, then that would imply that you're allowed to do malacha after making early Shabbos. So Shani Tzibur D'lo Mitarchin Andu. No. The reason why Rebbe told this congregation that they don't have to go back and daven Mariv is because it's a tzibur. They don't want to burden them to have to go back to shul. That's why they said stick with it. But if you're a yachid, just a one person, so let's say you daven Mariv early, too early, I guess, on Shabbos, so then you would go back and daven Mariv again, I guess. Wow, all sorts of questions. What does it mean? If they daven too early, then how are they yotze? Maybe then they would daven bichidus? I'm not exactly sure. But in any event, if you're a single, just a regular guy like Rav Dimi bar Levi, and he made a mistake, so it's just a mistake. He doesn't have to live with that mistake, and that's why Abai told him that he was allowed to do malacha, even though he accidentally accepted Shabbos early. But in general, if you intentionally accept Shabbos early, you would not be allowed to do malacha after you make early Shabbos. Okay, very cool. Amar b'chia bar Oven. Rav tzali shel Shabbos be'erev Shabbos. Okay, as we know, Rav made early Shabbos, fine. Rabbi Yoshia matzah shel Motzai Shabbos b'Shabbos. Rabbi Yoshia daven basically Mariv early on Motzai Shabbos, right? So I guess it was after Shkia or maybe after Plaga Mincha, according to Rabbi Yehuda, and he davened Mariv already on Shabbos. Okay, fine. You didn't do melacha, you can't do melacha till Shabbos is over, but, as we said, you could daven Marv, after Plag HaMincha, according to Rabbi Yehuda, or after Shkia, according to, at night, according to the Rabbanan. Yeah, we haven't really defined if it's Shkia or says the Kochavim. I'm not even sure if we're going to define that. It just says out of Erev, and I think it just depends however you define Erev. There's different ways, right? I think that's the machlokas between the Gra and the Magen Avraham. I think it might even be based on Rabbeinu Tam, but I don't know. I'm just babbling. Weiter. Okay, Rav Tali Shabbos Be'erev Shabbos. So Rav made early Shabbos. Omer Kedusha Alakos, or Omer Kedusha Alakos. Oh, interesting question. So now when you make early Shabbos, can you make Kiddush when it's still light outside? So Tashmad, Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel, Mispal Adam Shal Shabbos Be'erev Shabbos, Ve'omer Kedusha Alakos, V'ochsa Kavase. Right? So Rav Nachman says in the name of Shmuel that if you make early Shabbos, you can, L'maisa, make Kiddush when it's still light out as well. And the halacha is that way. Rabbi Yoshia Matzah Shemotzai Shabbos b'Shabbos Omer Avdallah Lakos. So Enu Omer Avdallah Lakos. So when Rabbi Yoshia would make daven Mariv when it was still light out on Shabbos, right? Like on Motzai Shabbos, and it was still light out on Shabbos. So would he make Havdalah on a glass of wine? Tashmad Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Mispal Adam Shel Motzai Shabbos b'Shabbos V'Omer Avdallah Lakos. Says Rav Yehuda in the name of Shmuel that yes, if you daven Mariv early on Motzai Shabbos, you would say Havdalah Alakos. Now, Mistama, you're not going to light a match and say Bori Meorei Eish, right? Because that would be Malacha, and you can't do Malacha till after Shabbos. But I guess you could theoretically, take a glass of wine and say Havdalah. And also, it goes without saying, I guess, that if you daven Mariv early on Shabbos, right? It's still light out. So you would say Atachon Antanu and Shmona Esrei, right? Even though it's still Shabbos. Amar Asi, Amar Belazar, Amar Chanina, Amar Rav. Okay, that next to this amud, next to this beam, Rabbi Shema Rabbi Yossi Davin made early Shabbos. Okay, when Ula came, he said it was actually next to a palm tree. I guess it wasn't next to a beam. It wasn't next to Rabbi Shema Rabbi Yossi. Okay. It wasn't actually early Shabbos. But it was, he davened Mariv early on Motzai Shabbos. Okay, he basically, systematically, point for point, said that each thing was actually a little bit wrong. It wasn't a beam, it was a palm tree. It wasn't this person, it was that person. It wasn't this prayer, it was that prayer. But okay, something happened there. Fine. Tfilas ha'erev ein la keva. Mariv doesn't have any set time. My ein la keva. What does this mean? Doesn't have any set time? If it means that you could pray Mariv all night long, well then just say you could pray Mariv all night long. What does it mean? It doesn't have a keva, right? So Ella my ein la keva. Command Amar Tfilas Arvis Rishos. It's like the Manda Amar who says that Mariv is an optional prayer. You don't have to daven Mariv. Ein la keva. It's not kavua. It's optional. Amar Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Said of Yehuda Amar Shmuel Tfilas Arvis. Rabbi Gamliel Omer Chova. Rabbi Gamliel says it's obligatory to say Mariv. Rabbi Yoshua Omer Rishos. Rabbi Yoshua says it's optional to pray Mariv. Amar Bai, Alacha Kedivya Omer Chova. Abai says the Alacha is like the one who says it's obligatory. Rava Amar Alacha Kedivya Omer Shus. Rava says that the Alacha is like the Manda Omer says that it's optional to daven Mariv. And yeah, that's always an interesting one because apparently we do paskin that it's optional to daven Mariv, but I also think that at the same time, maybe the Rambam says, or at the same time, apparently, because we've as a community, it's been accepted to pray Mariv. So I think Dafka the men kind of accepted upon themselves to pray Mariv, but not necessarily the women or something like that. Anyways, we're going to stop here. Today was pretty cool. Let's just go over that. So what did we talk about today? We talked about that you could pray Shacharis until 4 hours into the day. We talked about the famous distinction of Ad ve'ad b'chlal or Ad ve'lo ad b'chlal. We talked about early Shabbos. We talked about, davening Mincha and Mariv like Rabbi Yehuda versus the Rabbanan. All sorts of stuff like that, which is super cool. Tomorrow on the agenda, we're going to talk about the amazing story with Rabbi Yoshua and Rabbi Gamliel when they removed Rabbi Gamliel from being the head of the academy and all of that drama. It's really a super interesting story. And yeah, some other cool stuff. So stay tuned, stick around. Looking forward to chilling with y'all. Peace out.